We live. All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday log. Let's lucky we're running a bit late, bit of technical difficulties. But today we're gonna go into a little bit about how these other nations going to war ain't our business, man. It's not our business. Leave them to it, man. Though they're doing all their marching. Like, listen, man, they've been blocking off all the roads with these marches, blocking off all the roads to where you can't get A to B, man. Trying to give everyone Palestinian flags, Palestine flags. They're trying to give them to black people, man. Like, they want you to have a Palestine flag in your car, man. How does it benefit us? It's nothing to do with us, man. They're saying, oh, black people ain't showing support and all black people care about is Black Lives Matter, which is true, man. That's all black people should care about is what's going on, man, in our world, man. Like, what's going on in the Palestinian world has nothing to do with us. But we've been programmed and brainwashed into believing that we should care about what everybody else is going through, that we should care about their oppression. And the thing is, yeah, they are being oppressed, but guess what? That's their business, man. Same like when we being oppressed, we told it's our business. When we going through something, black people are told, oh, just get over it. They should just get over it, man, if that's the case. Whatever they're going through, it's sad for them, but it's nothing to do with us, man. They need to fight their own battles instead of having us fight their battles for them, man. Why don't they fight their own battles and leave us out of it? Because this is the thing, man. Every time things is going bad, what happens? Everybody wants to include us, man. Everybody wants to include us. But when things is going good, no one remembers us, man. No one remembers us. Hold on one second, let's pull it up on here. Yeah, when things is going good for them, no one remembers us. And also, now all the Palestinians and the Arabs and the East Indians and the Muslims, now they're all saying, oh, Jewish people are evil, Jewish people are this, Jewish people are that. Listen, man. I remember one time, a young black man by the name of Wiley spoke out about Jewish people, and you cancelled him, man. That's right. You cancelled him, man. Now you want to moan about Jewish people. Where was you? Why didn't you get behind Wiley then? If you dislike them that much, why didn't you get behind Wiley and say, you know what, Wiley's right? What you done is you cancelled Wiley, man. Cancelled Wiley for saying the Jewish people robbed his money. Now they're dropping bombs on the Palestinians. Now it's all free Palestine, free Palestine. And now you see them burning the Israeli flags, man. In London, those burn. I seen an East Indian man fly kick one of the flags, man. Like that hurts anything. He fly kicked one of the flags, burnt one of the flags. And all Wiley said is they're robbing his money, and you cancelled Wiley, man. If that's the case, they need to cancel all these people and everybody else, man. But no one has pity on us, man. But we must have pity on the whole world. We must care about the whole world. We must cry for the whole world. We must hold vigils and get Palestinian flags and pray for them. Listen, they even said that everybody should wake up at 2 a.m. and all say a prayer together, man. Listen, man. No black person best be involved in that. But obviously, black people's tied themselves in it. Why? Because black people have converted to Islam. So once you become a Muslim, you then look at them Palestinians as your brothers. When the thing is this, them Palestinians don't look at you as a brother. When they was all good, they don't look at black men as brothers. But now that things is all bad, yeah, we need all your prayers. We need your donations. We need your help. Free Palestine. Listen, man. Moses wasn't down with no free Palestine stuff, man. Moses wanted what? To free black people, man. Moses went to Pharaoh and said, the Lord said, let his people go, man. The Lord said to free his people, not free Palestine. How you want a man free and you ain't even free yourself? How you want them to free Palestine and you're in slavery yourself, man? What about freeing your own people and yourself? Go ahead, sir.
Yes, lucky. And to add on to that, that's ridiculous. How can you free someone when they're in their own land?
Right.
they are in their own lands, man.
Right.
We are living in England that is not our land.
Right.
And I've got to fight to free someone who has their own land, but they haven't got the weapons to defend themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? That don't make no sense.
Exactly, man. They're in their own land and we want them free. Meanwhile, what? We in the land of our oppressors, man. They're over there speaking their own language, man. They know their culture and their customs. And we in England and don't know none of that, man. We in England and don't know none of that. But we want to free other people, man. We want to free all these other races, man. When all these other nations hate us, man, we should mind our business. Usually they say black people are too nosy. Listen, we're minding our business now, man. These two nations going to war with each other and fighting each other is none of our business. Let every other country get involved, man. Because what happened? We got involved in World War One, and you've seen the cenotaph for black people, man. World War One and World War Two cenotaph. You've seen it, man. And we got involved in somebody else's fight and got nothing to show for it, man. So how about we learn from our mistakes and say, you know what? Never ever again will I fight for another nation that's not my own, man. Why? Because you fight for their freedom, man. You fight for their victory. And then once they do this victory lap, you ain't included in this victory lap, man. That's why their cenotaph is, where is it? Whitechapel. Their cenotaph is in Whitechapel, man. That big one where the Queen goes and puts a wreath on there. And they do the 21 gun salute, man. And who goes to yours? Though you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, man. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. But no one will go to your cenotaph. Where's yours? Yours ain't in the middle of nowhere. Yours is just pushed against the wall, man. Yours is against the wall, out the way. Like they didn't even put yours on the sidewalk so people can see it properly. Yours is pushed in the corner, man. And did you know, once upon a time in World War One, some of the soldiers was captured. They captured some of the soldiers, black ones and white ones. And guess what they done to the black ones? They shot them all to death, man, with machine guns. They had the machine guns on the tank, and they said to them, took them to a field, and they said, run. And they shot them all to death, man. The black ones. What did they do with the white ones? They was unharmed, man. They left the white soldiers unharmed. So when you join his military, you put yourself in harm's way, man. Which means you ain't supposed to join it. They even said prisoners of war. If those black prisoners of war, they was in harsher conditions, man. They was beaten, left in the cold and so forth. Whereas the white ones had better treatment. And you tell us we should join the army. No, man, we shouldn't. If you just do a little bit of research on how they treated you when you fought for their army, you'd say, you know what? I can't ever join this man's military. I can't ever fight for this man. Why? Because this man just hates your guts. And you fight for him. You be patriotic about his country, saying, you know what? I'm going to fight for my freedom. They promised you freedom, man. They promised you freedom. Imagine in World War One, every black man was promised his stay in whichever country he was fighting for. Whichever colony you was promised, yeah, if you fight for us. So what you would have is what? Most of the time you're fighting your brothers, man. You're fighting your brothers, even though you and your brothers are both the same, but you're in captivity in different places. So you're fighting for the country who you're in captivity to. He's fighting in the country who he's in captivity to. Not realizing both of you two should come together, man, and say, damn that we're brothers who's where there's a language barrier because of these devils that we're fighting for, man. You're supposed to come together and say, yo, I ain't gonna fight against this black man because he's fighting for their army. We should have an understanding that, you know what? This is the white man's fight. This is the Palestinian man's fight. We ain't supposed to be in their fight, man. Some lunatic was telling me, oh, but what about the Afro-Palestinians? What about the Afro-Palestinians? Listen, man. Before this, you were saying that these so-called Afro-Palestinians wasn't proper Muslims, man. You were saying that they ain't proper Muslims, man. And now you're telling me what about them? What about them before, man? When they wanted to come to your mosques, you didn't let them go, man. Now, when the police is killing us and harming us, nobody cares, man. People be in the comments say, oh, yeah, you black people. Now, man, everybody wants to cry. Listen, it's not our problem, man. We need to mind our own business. Our business is blacks and Hispanics, man. Our business is us getting off drugs, us keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, man. That's our war, man. We need to war with ourselves. We ain't got to go war with some tanks and rockets and go and fight for Palestine And then what you're gonna have on the back of this, usually what comes with these things is what? Suicide attack, suicide bombings, man. What's gonna happen? Suicide bombings usually comes with it. Why? Because they know they can't what? Fight the Israelis because they've got all the weapons. So what's gonna happen? The Muslims over here is gonna start to do what? Start blowing up bridges again, man. Start blowing up trains again. And then they're gonna be talking about this is our attack on the Israelis. Listen, they always do it, man. One time they done it. This is our attack on the American government. So you mean to say you blow up innocent people to attack the American government? Listen, man. They don't care, man. You ain't blowing them up. They don't care. You're blowing up innocent people, man. People who's trying to go to work, who's trying to go about their business, and you just blowing them up, man, because of your stupidity. But let me get Jeremiah 15:5 real quick. I can do read it from you if you want. So look, I don't think this is the right one, is it? Oh no, I'm in the wrong one. That's why.
All right. Jeremiah 15:5. For who shall have a pity upon thee?
It says, for who shall have pity upon thee? Meaning, who has pity on us? Nobody, man. So why should we have pity on somebody else, man? We need to have pity on each other. We need to have pity on blacks and Hispanics, man. We need to stop our petty beefs where listen, we're fighting our own war in the hood, man. Whereas what we need to leave off from our war in the hood and love one another, man. Forget what's going on in Palestine and whatnot. They're fighting over a land which doesn't belong to neither of them, man. They're fighting over that land. The reason they're fighting over that land is why? Because it don't belong to neither of them. Meanwhile, the people who the land belongs to, they're getting high somewhere, man. They're on drugs somewhere. They're in prison somewhere. Free black men from prison, man, instead of free Palestine. Listen, if I did have one free pass, I'm freeing black people with it, man.
That's right.
I ain't using my free pass to free Palestinians, man. They got nothing to do with us. They oppress us also, man. They oppress us, and everything they do is to keep us down, man. What do? Most of them set up security firms and do what? Only hire their own people, man. East Indians, especially these Pakistanis, they set up all these firms and only hire their own people. Why? Because they have pity on their own people. Whereas with us, no one has pity on us. But now we must go and fight. There was even saying to influencers on Instagram, "Oh, you black people don't speak up about Palestine. You like go quiet. But when it's Black Lives Matter, you want the world to care." Listen, man. I seen the Palestinian march the other day, man, and there was way more people there than any Black Lives Matter march, man. They was there, all of them with the flags. Listen, I want to see what Priti Patel's going to say about it, man, because she called Black Lives Matter march silly. She called Black Lives Matter march silly or stupid. So now I want to see what she's going to say about these Palestinians, man. These East Indians marching during what? COVID-19, man. Meanwhile, there's a new variant, an Indian variant on the loose, and they're marching. I'm gonna spread the variant, man. How about they all stay at home, man? And listen, they should not get us involved. Read that one more time.
Jeremiah 15:5. For who shall have a pity upon thee, O Jerusalem?
Who has pity upon us? Listen, man. Nobody had pity upon Wiley, man. Nobody cared that Wiley's Instagram and his Twitter was shut down, and everyone basically forgot about him, man. Cancelled him. Nobody cared. But now, the Israelis is shooting these rockets at Palestine, man. We must care. Nobody cared when we were slaves getting our backs whipped. Where was the pity, man? Where was the free these Caribbean people? Where was it? I didn't see it. Where was the free the Caribbean people? I didn't see it. But what I did see is what? The British seen how the Spanish was making a killing with slaves, man. And I seen how the British came or took over the Spanish and became slave masters also over the Caribbean, man. That's what I seen. What I saw is people saw, you know what? We can make a ton of money off slavery. Let's all get involved. No one said free black people. They said, you know what? Let's make some money, man. And that's what they did. They made some money, and this is why all these nations is rich. The Jewish man got the land of Israel for free, man, because of his so-called Holocaust. When he claims that, how much did he say died? 6 million Jews, which we weren't even close to that number, man. Whereas, listen, man, millions of us like die, millions of us, and nobody has no pity. Everybody has pity on the Jewish man. You know how you know they have pity on him? Because they gave him a land for free, man. They still pay money till this day. Why? Because they have pity upon him. But there's no pity for black and Hispanic people. For black and Hispanic people, it's like, pull yourself up from your bootstraps, man. Forget about slavery, man. That was ages ago. And the thing is this, if black people was given reparations, they would have shut their mouth, man. Black people was given reparations, they would have said, all right, then yeah, we're cool now. Whereas the Jewish man, the reason he don't need to speak about his Holocaust that much, why? Is because he got millions and a whole country, man. And he gets privilege everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes, he gets privileges that we don't get, man. Black people need some privileges, but they don't get them, man. And listen, man, they say black people's good for nothing. Well, guess what? We ain't good enough to go in your war. We ain't good enough to fight for Palestine either. We ain't good enough to fight for the Israeli military either. You just leave us out of it, man. We want to mind our business. Read on.
Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest?
No one goes aside to ask how we doing, because nobody cares how we doing, man. But we must do what? Put Palestinian flags on our car, talking about free Palestine. Listen, man, don't they're giving out free flags. Don't put them on your car, man. Don't be waking up at 2 a.m. to pray to some God that don't exist. Praying to some God. Have you seen all the videos? The Israelis are dropping bombs in the all shouting Allahu Akbar, getting blown up in the process, man. Listen, man, Allah don't exist. He doesn't exist, man. Them counting on a stone to save them, it's not gonna happen, man. Because Allah don't exist. That's why the Jewish man is bombing the hell out of them, which is wrong, man. And this is why we need to be in authority. Because when we're in authority, guess what? These wars won't happen, man. Because every nation is going to understand their place and so forth. And a righteous nation is going to be ruling. Whereas the Jewish man's unrighteous, the Palestinians is unrighteous. So of course they're going to catch up and fight and go to war. Is there anyone that is that about it? Nah, that's it on that. Give me Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. So now we're going to go to the book of Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. Also, any questions, you can just type them in. So yeah, but man, we need to mind our business instead of worrying about these nations who got millions, man. Who got millions, who are millionaires, who are rich. Meanwhile, we're struggling, man. We out here struggling, can barely survive. And you mean to tell me I must take the day off my slavery to go shout free Palestine? Nah, man. I need all the money I can get, man. Let them Arabs do that. They've got enough money. They've got enough petrol stations and so forth. We got our own fights. Go ahead.
Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that a time.
So now the time's coming, man. That time ain't come yet, but soon this time's going to come. So Joel chapter 3 is going to take place in that time, the Lord's timing. Go ahead.
When I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
And there's the times coming when what? Our captivity is coming to an end, man. The time's coming when our captivity is going to be over. But for now, we're still in captivity. So while we're in captivity, what should we be doing? Getting right with the Lord, man. That's what we should be doing. So when the Lord does bring our captivity again, the Lord don't have to destroy us along with these other nations, man. The Lord don't have to destroy us along with his enemies, man. Read on.
I will also gather all nations.
I will what?
I will also gather all nations.
The Lord said he will gather all nations. So now, this is World War III, man. The Lord's going to gather all nations and make them fight against each other. The Lord's going to gather all nations to make them destroy each other, and he's going to destroy them. So now you going in the military, you're going against the plan of the Most High, man, because the Lord's gathering these nations to destroy them. So if you join the military, what do you think is going to happen to you? You're going to be destroyed in the process, man. That's why you shouldn't join the army. The army is not for us, man. The army and the police force ain't for us. Read on.
And will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
And that's the valley of decision, man. Listen, man, the Lord's going to bring them down and destroy them, man. Like the Lord's going to bring all these nations, meaning he's going to bring them together to make them go to war with one another, and then he's going to destroy them, man. Go ahead.
And will plead with them there for my people.
So listen, man, World War III is about what? The freedom of blacks and Hispanics, man. That's what it is. World War I was about what's his name? Franz Ferdinand, man. Obviously he got killed. They say it was unjust how they killed him. What did they throw a bomb under his car?
It was assassinated.
Yeah, he was assassinated. I think the bomb missed the car, right? Yeah, and he got shot after because his driver took the wrong turn. Sounds like a setup on the notes. The driver took the wrong turn. So then he got killed. Obviously, other countries got involved. And then that turned into World War One. And what you will find is, with these wars, other countries that want to remain neutral can't really remain neutral. They have to get involved. You know why? Because obviously some countries is closer to others. So what they'll say is, can we come to your country and set up base so we can attack this country from here? You will say yes. The country that they're going to attack will then go to war with you. They will declare war on you. Or you will say no. Then that country that you said no to, they might declare war on you. So it gets to that stage where during these wars, nations have to pick a side. Some countries remain neutral, but for the most part, eventually someone declares war on them. And then when they declare war on you, what happens? You fight back. And then the country that you're fighting against, they have their allies, which, you know, would be other countries who agree with them, who then become your enemies. Then you side with other countries who becomes your allies, and then it's just one big world war. So even if you wanted to remain neutral, it's kind of difficult, because obviously you say no to a country. Well, back then, if you would say no to a country, whereas obviously back then it was they used to set up trenches. They'll come to your land, put trenches there, and keep trying to move closer and occupy certain cities in your country and whatnot. If you say no, they'll probably declare war on you, and then before you know it, you're involved in a war. But read on.
And for my heritage, Israel.
And the Lord's bringing them there for his heritage, Israel, man. So now, all these nations have declared war on us. And they have with slavery, them killing us in the streets, them attacking us, them stripping us of our language and of our culture. And guess what? The time's coming when the Lord's going to declare war on them, man. The Lord's going to declare war on them. And the Lord don't want none of them to escape this war, man. So he's going to gather all nations. All these nations is going to be gathered. They're going to pick different sides. They're thinking, yeah. They're thinking they're fighting for rulership and whatnot. But they're going to get a rude awakening, man. You can't fight against the Lord. You know why? Because our God is real, unlike Allah, man. These Palestinians screaming Allahu Akbar, and Allah ain't done a damn thing, man. He ain't done a damn thing. At least with us, we know why we're in the condition that we're in. We in the condition that we're in. Why? Because obviously we're hard-headed. We like to disobey God. So we know why we're in this condition. These Arabs talking about, oh, Allah ain't never done a damn thing, man. You're asking a stone to help you. You're asking an idol to help you, which can't help you, man. And this is why every black man needs to leave Islam, man. This should let you know what? Islam's some garbage, man. These men are getting blowed up, screaming Allahu Akbar. Listen, man. Them words don't save you, man. And they always think them words say. Usually a man says that before he blows himself up. These Palestinians is saying, and they ain't even blowing nothing up or themselves up, man. They're just saying it. Listen, man, you better leave the mosque, man. It ain't for us. That religion ain't for us. We found what's for us, and what is for us is the truth. Read on.
Whom they have scattered among the nations.
Who they have what?
Whom they have scattered among the nations.
And we've been what? scattered amongst the nations, man. We've been scattered amongst everybody, and these nations that we've been scattered amongst, what do? We choose to fight for those nations, man. If you're scattered amongst the French, what happens? You join the French army. If you're scattered in England, you join the British army. If you're scattered in Korea or Ethiopia or whatever, you join them armies, man. We ain't supposed to do that. We've been scattered amongst these nations, but we ain't supposed to join them. But because of our lack of understanding and us not knowing who we are and us thinking the only way to get free is to fight for this, man, we do it, man. And that doesn't get you freedom. That gets you blown up, man. It gets you blown up, and it gets you a horrible death. Read that part one more time.
Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
It says who they have scattered amongst the nations, man. Listen, I got an article right here that I'm about to read. It says, unremembered, the African First World War soldiers without a grave. Now, obviously, we know this. This is talking about the Israelites. Obviously, the white man would say the African because he don't know. All right, also. So obviously, he would say, you know what, the African. Why? Because till this day, they try and lie to us and tell us that we're African, but we ain't African. Also, when people from the Caribbean came to England, and they would tell the white man, yeah, we're from Jamaica. Guess what he would say? What part of Africa are you from? What part of Africa is that? That's what he would say. So they're very ignorant to geography. They're very ignorant to just looking on a world map. That's what they're ignorant to. They're ignorant to looking at continents and so forth. So they would say that you're African. Why? Because they're ignorant and don't understand. So let's read this article. Unremembered, the African First World War soldiers without a grave. Imagine the First World War soldiers without a grave, meaning these black people fought in this white man's military, man, and they're without a grave. Is it a coincidence why they're without a grave? No, man. You know why? It's because the white man wants to erase all trace that black people helped him in the war. He wants to get rid of all trace that black people helped him in the war, man. So that's why the graves ain't there. Let's read on. It says how a 2019 documentary helped spark an inquiry into missing war graves of soldiers from the British Empire. And we know black people fought in the British Empire, man. They called on their colonies from the West Indies, man. They called on their colonies, the slaves, and said, you know what? Fight for us, and you'll get indefinite leave in Britain, man. Fight for us, and you can stay in England. You will get your stay. Them saying that, they knew that what? These black people would die in the war, man. They knew these black people would die in battle, but they just sold them a dream. Yeah, fight for us, and you'll be a hero. Whereas black people didn't get that hero's welcoming, man. Black people didn't get that homecoming of a hero with the flag draped over their coffin and the 21 salute. Black people didn't get that, man. Now they might give you it now just to make it look good, but really they don't want to give you it, man. Every time you join anybody's army, they look at you like, damn, these black people are stupid, man. How are you fighting for a people that enslaved you? How are you fighting for a people that oppressed you? How are you fighting for a people that is the worstest people on the face of this planet, man? Like, they've lied to you so much, and now you think you joining their army is going to give you freedom. Now you think you fighting for them is going to give you a better position. Understand this. Whether you join the Israeli military or the Palestinian military, guess what will happen to you? You're still going to be what? A slave, man. At the end of it, your people is still going to be oppressed. Your people is still going to be poor. Your people is still going to be at the bottom of society. No matter who you fight for, man. This is why you shouldn't fight for nobody. And this is why you should join the Lord's Army in the I.S.U.P.K, man. The Lord's Army in the I.S.U.P.K, where black and Hispanic people are loved in here, man. Where we're loved in here, how we're supposed to be. Whereas us joining everybody else's military, you just die and you get an unmarked grave. But let's read on. How a 2019 documentary helped spark an inquiry into missing war graves of soldiers from the British Empire. It says UK inquiry blames pervasive racism for unequal commemoration of troops. So listen, man. They blamed racism on how black people didn't receive proper burials. And of course it's racism, man. It's not rocket science. It ain't rocket science. Let's read on. It says a crackly audio recording made in the 80s is one of the few direct links left to the African soldiers and auxiliaries who served Britain in the First World War. It provides a chilling insight into their experience, which saw an estimated 50,000 Africans in labor units die from disease and other causes. 50,000 died from disease and other causes. 50,000 of them, man. And all they get is that cenotaph in where? All they get is that cenotaph in where? In Brixton. That little cenotaph in Brixton, man. Meanwhile, these black men fought, put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and they was sold a dream, man. They was told, fight for us and you will get your freedom. Fight for us and you will get to come to the UK. And guess what? The white man told you that, knowing that you was going to die in the war, man. Knowing you was not going to live to see these lies is telling you. Let's read on. The recording contains the voice of former porter who was working alongside the king's. Hold on, let me find it. He described that his job was to carry boxes of bullets, and as they walked, there were dead bodies lying on the road. Exhausted, he decided to rest, but he was found by a superior, punished and beaten. He later escaped and lived to tell, recount his experience. Listen, man. These men are fighting in the military and still being beaten like they was being beaten in slavery, man. Let's read some more. David Lammy, MP, played the clipping on Remember, the 2019 TV documentary, investigating hundreds of thousands of missing war graves of soldiers from the British Empire, which helped spark the Commonwealth War Graves Commission investigation. So now, there's a thing called the missing war graves, and if you've ever seen it, there's a thing where black people's graves is unmarked, whereas white people's got that nice war cemetery. I can't remember what they call it, war hero cemetery or something, where it's got their names on the coffins, and everyone knows this is where these great men who fought for England have been buried. My father's fought for Britain. Every time the white man says that, my father's fought for Britain. And if you say, you can't prove it, man. You can't prove that your fathers fought for Britain. Why? Because their graves is nowhere to be found. Their cenotaph is so small, you walk past it and don't know that's what it is. Let's read on. It says, David Lammy played the clip from the British Empire, which helped spark the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. Let me see if there's any more. Hold on. And in World War One, the black slaves was beaten, man. You don't even know that. The black slaves used to have their hair cut off and beaten. You know when people say the army's rough, how the sergeant shouts at you and this and that. Listen, man, he used to beat the black ones. That's what they don't tell you before you sign up to the RAF. That's the part they don't tell you. So you sign up and then it becomes too much. You start being beaten, and then you feel suicidal, and it could have all been avoided by you coming to an I.S.U.P.K class and understanding. Let me see if there's any more on this. Hold on. Says, with no monuments, the names of the fallen are by definition hard to trace. Listen, man, there's a reason why the names is hard to trace, because our oppressor don't want you to trace them, man. Like, he wants the victory to be an all-white victory. He don't want people to know, okay, black people helped us win a war. Black people fought for us. He wants people to think, well, in this cemetery is all white heroes and there's no black heroes. I mean, name one black hero in Great Britain, man. You won't find one, man. Name one black hero, man. You won't find one. Unless he's a sellout, man. Unless he's a sellout, you won't find one. Let's see if there's any more. With no monuments, the names of the fallen are by definition hard to trace. It says, Professor Michelle Barrett of Queen Mary University, London, who's a leading expert in the field, found an intriguing record of some. Says she unearthed a list of native African soldiers. Obviously, with that, they're gonna tie them all in one. So obviously, there's gonna be some Hamites in there, Israelites in there, but they're just gonna pull it in bulk and just say they're all African. Same like they will say that today when really we ain't all African. But obviously they're none the wiser, so that's what they would say. It says, she unearthed a list of native African soldiers who had died and whose deaths were to be logged. One of only 3 such war memorials in Africa. There was AD from the King's African Rifles. Hold on, Angela, who died. Let me try to find the main parts. So now she said that she's found names of them who's died, but they didn't find bodies. That's what she said. They didn't find bodies. Says the list made clear that the plan was to commemorate them on a memorial, not by name. Imagine you commemorating someone, but not by name. If you're commemorating someone, you need to know their name, man. You need to know their name and who they are and what they've done. How are you commemorating someone and there's no name? That makes no sense. Whereas when they commemorate a oppressor, they all name by names, man. It's like someone graduating uni and you don't say their name. You just say, yeah, this person graduated. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's it. Actually, you don't even say this person. You just say, yep, graduation, blah, blah, blah. Or you just say, yep, black graduations 2021. That don't mean nothing, man. We want to hear names, man. But obviously, like they said, they ain't giving no names. Let me see if I can find some more. Nah, it's all fine. Let me see if there's any more. David Lammy said, it breaks my heart that this is their cemetery. Lammy said, there has to be some atonement, some reckoning. Listen, man, there ain't going to be no atonement for them, man. They're dead fighting a war that wasn't their war, man. At least, if you are going to die, at least die fighting the right thing, man. You joining his military, you dying for free, man. That's nothing to do with us. Let me scroll down. All right, now let me pull up something else. Let me pull up Watertoll. Let's see where his body is. Let's see. Because there's a thing called the unmarked graves. See if you can pull up a picture on the screen share. If you type in black soldiers graveyard and just see if a picture comes up. We're going to see if we can screen share a picture. There's one in. Type in Britain. One somewhere in Britain. Did it come up?
Any of these?
There should be one where. Hold on. Go. That one. Is it that one? It might be that one where the graves is just all unmarked. And then after that, we'll look at the.
Yeah, there's no names.
There's no names on it.
No carbon.
So with that, there's and only in previous years they've neatened it up. But we're gonna screen share that one. Then we're gonna find the white people's one. I'm just trying to find one sec while I look for this one here.
If you don't mind, if I read it up.
All right, go.
It says. So on this picture you're seeing right here, even they know it's racism. Look at what it reads: pervasive racism, blamed for unequal treatment.
There you go, man. Pervasive racism, blamed for unequal treatment, which lets you know, man, racism exists. So why are you fighting for an army which is a racist? Is the white ones? Let's look at the white men's. Let's look at our oppressors. War hero graveyard. Is it? You probably can type. Is it War Memorial? You probably can click on that one and see.
Well, the good news is on their one, there's names.
Oh yeah, see, look at this one. See. On their one, they got the nice headstones, man. Look how much of them there is. Nice headstones with names on there. And the black people's ones is unnamed, man. And Water Tull was like what? What was his rank again? Was he a lieutenant? I believe it was a lieutenant in the army, man. Water Tull was a great in their army. And now let's read what happened to Water Tull. It says on the 25th of March, 1980. So I could pull me up that picture again of the no graves, with the no names on the gravestone. We're gonna pull up the Black Men's War Cemetery again. Then after we're gonna see if we can get a picture of the two cenotaphs. So we're gonna show you the Black Men's one while I read this from here. So Black people's one's got no names on there. Now let's read what happened to Water Tull. On the 25th of March, 1918, Water led an attack on German trenches. They had to cross no man's land, which was open ground and under fire from German machine guns. Water was hit and killed. His body was never found. Listen, man. You know why his body was never found? Because it's probably one of these unmarked graves, man. That's why. His body's probably one of these unmarked graves. They ain't gonna bury. You know why the Black Man's graves is all unmarked? Because if they named Black people, they would have to bury you in their cemetery, and they don't want you in their cemetery, man. Even in cemeteries, they want a separation. They don't want you buried in the same separation cemetery as them. That's why Water Tull's body was never found. They said he was what? Shot in the back of the head. Now, if his body was never found, how did they know he was shot in the back of the head, man? How did they know? If his body wasn't found, how do you know he was shot in the back of the head? But also, World War One, it tells you when casualties died, what did they do? All the Black ones, they used to just dig a hole and throw them all in the grave. They also said the Black ones, what did the Germans used to do? Drive their tanks over their bodies, man. They used to drive their tanks over their bodies. No word of a lie, man. You can look it all up. And they would say to the Germans would say to the French civilians and whatnot, don't bury them, leave their bodies there to rot. That's what they would say, man. Also, with wars, World War One, they also said that once nations started bringing Black people into the army, the other white people started to say, bringing these savages in is a threat to Europeans, the savages, meaning even though they was going to war with each other, they still had an element of brotherhood that they didn't want Black people killing white people, man. They still had an element of brotherhood. They said, don't bring these Black people in, the savages. So they made up a lie that Black men was raping German women. They made up that lie, Black men was raping German women. And they would use that to what? Kill them and so forth. Listen, man, if you just knew the half, you wouldn't join you wouldn't want to join the military, man. But anyway, we're gonna go back to we sidebarred all the way, but we're gonna go back to the book of Joel. So we're gonna go back to Joel 3 and verse, I think it was in verse 2. So this is why you shouldn't join the military, man. The army, why? Because it doesn't do you no good. All it does is does you harm, man. That's all it does. It does you harm. You join it thinking, yeah, this is for the future of me and my family. Not realizing it's not for the future of you and your family, man. It's nothing to do with your family. Go ahead.
And parted my land. They have cast lots.
And you parted the Lord's land, man. You've scattered us amongst the nations, and you've parted his land, man. You've gave his land away to other nations, man. You've said, oh yeah, the Palestinians use it, can occupy Palestine in this part. The Israelis use it, can occupy this part. And then now they got the big mosque in Jerusalem. They got the mosque in Jerusalem, man.
That's like it. And they got the nerve to call it the Great Mosque.
Damn. They got the mosque in our capital, man. And listen, man, I mean, are they surprised? What's happening to them? Once upon a time, man, those Ethiopians that was in our land, and they was trying to do all these weird practices. And what did the Lord do? Sent lions amongst the people, man. Sent lions to tear them up. Only now, the Lord's sending rockets, man. That's the difference. He's sending rockets, man. If they want this war to stop, they need to do what? Leave this land and turn over everything to us, man. Turn over this whole earth to us, man. If they're not doing that, it don't mean anything. You saying Allahu Akbar, it don't mean anything, man. Read on.
They have cast lots for my people.
And they cast lots for his people, man. These people casting lots is like rolling dice and so forth, man. These people do all these things for the Lord's people, meaning they play games. Our life's a game to them, man. Our whole life is a game to them. Everything that they do to us is a game. Oh, yeah, you two black men go in the Coliseum and you used to fight in this arena. You two black men fight in this arena and fight to the death. Imagine you don't want to fight your brother, but if you don't, both of you are going to die. So then you're in a position where you have to fight to the death, man. And you know one of you are going to die. And these men are outside there with notes betting, saying, yeah, I'm going to bet 50 on him. This one's big and strong. I'm going to bet 50 on him. They play games with our life, man. And this is why the Lord has to take these people down, man. Because they're killing us and destroying us. Same way those killing us back then is the same way they're killing us right now, man. But because we die so much, it goes unnoticed. Because it's just so normal for black people to die, it barely makes the news. Like they're saying a young black boy 10 got kidnapped. Did you hear about it? How he got kidnapped by... I seen the picture, but I couldn't work it if there's Edomites in the van or...
Yeah,
I couldn't really make out. The quality weren't good. But basically they're saying children are being kidnapped. They said a young black boy was kidnapped. He was brought to a house. And what did they say? They gave him a tablet that made him dizzy.
That's what they say.
He said they gave him a tablet that made him dizzy. And he said there was other children in the house. Then the lady said some men tried to kidnap her son and so forth. But who knows if the two incidents are linked? I don't know if the two are linked, but protect your kids, man, because there's some weird people out there and weird things going on. Go ahead.
And have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine.
And listen, man, they sold a girl for wine, man. Especially the Hamites. They was selling us for near enough nothing, man. They was selling us for handkerchiefs, meaning they're saying that a handkerchief is better than your life, man. They're saying that a handkerchief is worth more than our life. That they would rather give you away and take a handkerchief instead of you, man. Imagine that. How little your life has to mean to someone for them to give you away in exchange for a handkerchief. And you mean to tell me we must care about Africans? Who was it? The ones that was modern day slavery over there? Was it Libyans?
Libyans,
yeah, and we must care about Libyans. Listen, man, we don't care about them because nobody cared about us when our daughters was given away for handkerchiefs, man. Your children you love so much. Your children you love who are a part of you, man. Who you want to raise and love and see grow up and do good. They was taken from you and given away in exchange for a handkerchief. Go ahead, sir.
And just to add on to that, when it comes to the Libyans as well, people don't know the history. It was the Arabians and the Libyans. They was helping get slaves from West Africa all the way to Arabia.
Damn.
You know what I mean? They was a part that would help the caravans.
Damn.
Then what happened was in the Arab world, when like enslaving people got harsh, then they started to enslave them once like West Africa was damn near almost empty, or there was facing resistance from the Hamites that didn't want to be enslaved. So then the Arabs, they started to enslave them because they was unable to get as much as they wanted.
Damn. And then now it's our problem. Now we must pray for Libya. Everyone changed their picture to the Libyan flag. Meanwhile, when we die, no one cares about us, man. That's what the Bible said. Who shall have pity upon thee? Now we must care about what's going on in Africa. We must care about what's going on in the jungle in Africa somewhere. Listen, man. We better care about what's going on right here, man. We better care about what's going on with our own people, man. In America, the Caribbean, Brazil, no matter where we are, man, Puerto Rico. We better care about those people. Why? Because nobody else don't have pity upon them. Go ahead.
That they might drink.
And listen, man. A drink means more to them than your life, man. Them children that you love so much that you're happy to see their face every morning. Imagine these other nations would give them away so they can drink, man. They'd give them away just for a little glass of wine, man. They'd give them away for a bottle of wine. And you mean to tell me we must care about these other nations. I'm sorry, man. We can't, man. We can't care about them. When have they ever cared about us? Never, man. So now, when bad things is happening to them, obviously, I'm not saying you must go on the internet and laugh and gloat and blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying you need to go do all of that. But I'm saying what we should do is mind our business, man. Because what happens to them is none of our business. I mean, we want Watertoe's body returned so he can have a good burial, man. Tell them bring back Watertoe's body first, man, so he can have a decent burial. Imagine this man fought in their army, man, and you mean to say his family couldn't even bury him? And also, they said, Salaka, also it was noted in World War I or II that most black people, their loved ones weren't even informed that their people had been killed, man. They just said, oh, they're missing, we don't know where they are. Maybe they're fighting here, maybe they're fighting there. These times they was dead in a ditch. And our oppressor didn't even give the family a check and say, you know what, we're sorry for your loss and blah, 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 blah. He just left them without answers, man. He left them without answers. Now, obviously, this is over 100 years ago, 1918. So obviously his family members at the time, most of them would have passed away by now. But it would be nice if we could have one of them on the show just to, you know, speak to them and be like, you know, did you ever get a call back from the white men to say your loved one was killed? Most of them wasn't told, man. Most of them wasn't told, but their loved ones was just thrown in an unmarked grave, thrown on top of each other. They didn't know who was who. They just threw them there and just put a stone there and left it at that. Read on.
Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
These is the African nations, man. These are Hamites, man. They also hate us too. They ain't our brothers. Go ahead.
And all the coast of Palestine.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Read on.
Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head.
And listen, man, every single nation has a hand in destroying us, man. Has a hand in taking us down. Has a hand in the condition that we're in. Every nation has played a part. Like, people look at us and be like, oh, you black people are angry and miserable and keep singing the same song. Of course we're going to sing the same song if the same things is happening to us, man. Of course we're going to sing the same song if all the same things is happening to us. We're being oppressed, abused, and we've got the right to speak about it, man. I mean, how they've been, I mean, these Arabs and East Indians been saying free Palestine for the longest, man. And nobody don't ever say to them, oh, give it a rest. But with us, it's like, oh, you black people, shut up, man. You singing the same song. Listen, man, let us speak about our pain that you caused us, man. We would stop singing the same song if you stop causing us the same pain, man. Go ahead,
And it's heavy that you said that, because us as blacks and Hispanics, we are going through a pain.
Right.
Those Palestinians, they got a tourist attraction. That mosque in Jerusalem, people pay to go there. So they're not suffering like us. We ain't got no attraction at all, man.
Right.
Even in the West Indies, black people don't make money off the beaches. Black people don't make money off the hotels. Those Palestinians, they have an economy in their land. Right. That so-called great mosque, if you follow the Islamic faith or whatever, you would go and see that mosque. So they make money, they have an income. They're not oppressed like us, man.
Listen, man, they're rich. I mean, just look at Dubai, man. Them Arabs own, and even in London, them Arabs own most of them shopping centers, man. It's not Arab that is it Arab that runs the Shah, or is it a white man? I'm sure
no, it's Shah.
The Shah as well. Indian.
No, it's
Arab. I was thinking. See, Arab runs the Shah, then all them big businesses. Like, when you see Arabs, you see money, man. You see, if you want to see the best cars you've ever seen, Arabs have them, man. Whereas us black people, we can't get a car from brand new, man, because we can't afford it. Like, look at our cars. We get our car when it's 4 years old, 5 years old. Like imagine when we look at a car, it's 3 years old, and it's still expensive. And there's a white man somewhere that sold it because it's owed to him. Imagine there's an Arab man that sold that car because it's owed to him. This car's only got 30,000 miles on the clock into him. Oh yeah, I've been ripping that car. And then when we get that car, it's like, yo, you see my new car. Really, it's not new, man. The Arab man will say, that's your new car. Flipping, I've had that 4 years ago. Listen, man, they're rich. They've got all the money in the world. And we don't, man. And it's time we come together and, serve the Lord, man. And the Lord will fight for us. And the time will come when what? They're going to have vehicles which is 5 years old. Whereas we used to getting things which is old. We used to paying monthly for a car, like paying $300 a month. Can't even lose your job because you got to pay for it and you're struggling, but you just got the nice car to show for it. And to an Arab man, what does he do? He just goes, throws 50 grand on the counter, man. He throws 80 grand on the counter and gets a G-Wagon as his personal car, man. The cars that we can't even afford to rent for a week, he has them cash, buys them. Listen, man. Why we got to pray for these Palestinians for, man? Ain't no one prayed for us. What is it?
It's like, yeah, and just on the back of that, to show how rich they are, I spoke to one years ago, and what he had, to me, that's a lot of money, but to him it was nothing. He goes, yeah, I'm about 65. In my bank, I got 100 grand.
Damn.
In my, basically, like around his family, that was decent.
Damn.
It's like, that's decent. Like to us, 100 grand is a lot of money.
Life-changing money to us.
In his eyes and the family he's got, at his age and the money in the bank, that was decent.
Damn. And it shows, man. Look at our oppressor. They can buy houses for all their children. Imagine he's saying 100 grand. This is just average. Whereas when black people die and you see they've worked for 50 years, 60 years, and you look in their bank account, they can't even afford their own funeral, man. Listen, we have to set up GoFundMes to fund funerals, man. I ain't never seen a Palestinian donate to any black man's GoFundMe. And now they want my prayers. I ain't seen them donate to anything that we've done, man. I ain't seen these East Indians ever give us free petrol or anything, man. I ain't ever seen them let us off with anything in their shops, man. But now they want prayers. Nah, man. So, okay, we can't give you those. Read on.
And swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Listen, man, these nations is gonna get what's coming to them, and it's only right, man. You can't turn this whole earth into a bloodbath. You can't spread black people's blood all over this earth, man, and expect nothing to happen to you. You can't spread God's chosen people's blood all over the earth. You can't force them to work and labor slave. You can't force labor out of them. You can't beat them to death and sell their daughters for a bottle of wine and rape their little boys and their daughters and have sex with them and abuse them and ill-treat them and kill them and keep murdering them. This is the difference between us and Muslims, man, and us and Palestinians and Arabs. We have a God who hears, man. That's the difference. They have a God that can't hear because he's an idol, whereas we have a God that hears our prayers, man. We have a God that hears our cries at nighttime, man. We have a God that hears our oppression. We have a God that sees what we're going through, whereas Allah doesn't see them rockets, man. Allah don't see all them Palestinians dead on the floor, man. But our God does see it, man. Our God sees Mark Duggan on the floor, man. Our God sees Jermaine Baker on the floor. Our God sees Rashawn Charles, and he sees that the people of the same nation of those men can't fight back, man. Why? Because they ain't got no military power. They ain't got no weapons. But the Lord can raise his hand and destroy all of them, man. So what we need to do is get on the side of the Lord instead of trying to join these other nations. Read on.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold.
Listen, man. They took the Lord's silver and his gold, man. They took everything. They robbed us blind. They also took us, man. They took us. They took the Lord's. They took everything, man. They destroyed the temple. Stole everything that was in there. They take it, man. And guess what? And guess what they got now? A mosque. So now they destroyed the temple steal everything from out of there, and some Arabs gone there to be extra disrespectful to build a mosque there, man. What these Arabs is doing there right now is no different to what the Greeks done when they put pork on the altar, man.
That's right.
It's no difference, man. What you're seeing is the same thing that happened back then is happening now, man. All you have to do is just, just pay attention. The same way they put pork on the altar in the book of Maccabees is the same way these Muslims have set up a damn mosque in our holy land, man. It's the same thing, man. And guess what happened to them Greeks? Those Greeks was destroyed, man. And guess what happened? Some of us tried to make a covenant with the heathen, man. And what do you see right now? Us like trying to join Palestine is the same thing. Us like trying to make a covenant with the heathen, man. It's the same thing. The same way some of them said, you know what? Let's make a covenant with the heathen. It's the same way now. You're trying to join Palestine, man. You're trying to say free Palestine, whereas you're supposed to be like what? Judas Maccabees, man, and say, yo, we're gonna fight for our laws, man. That's what we're supposed to do. We've got our own fight, man. We ain't supposed to join their military. Read on.
And have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things.
Listen, man. What they did is they destroyed the Lord's temple. They put a mosque there, man. The Lord's goodly, pleasant land. You put a mosque there, man. Worshipping Allah there, man. Of course, your mosque is going to have to be destroyed. Of course, them Palestinian children is going to have to be destroyed. Why? Because this land needs to be purged for when we need to go back there, man. It needs to be cleaned up for when we go back there. We ain't going to go back there and there's some mosque there. No way, man. All that shit, excuse my French, all that shit's going to be gone, man. All this Allah garbage, all this Arabic on the walls, and that all that's going to be gone, man. All of this Sharia law, none of this nonsense is going to exist, man. You're going to be under our laws, man. Talking about Sharia law, none of that is going to exist, man. Read on.
Verse 6, the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
This is our slavery, man. The children of Judah and Jerusalem have you sold to the Grecians, man. We've been sold to other nations. Imagine one nation would capture us and sell us to another nation. Now, the African man being so simple, he exchanged us for handkerchiefs, man. Like, which is the dumb, which is so dumb, which lets you know that the only flavor these Hamites have is from copying us, man. That's the only flavor they have, from copying us. Because before us, Africans loved handkerchiefs, man. That's what they sold us for, handkerchiefs. I know that nonsense. Read on.
To the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border.
And we removed far from our border, man. We in a whole nother continent right now, man. We was removed far from our border. We was carried across waters, man, to another land, to a language, to learn a language that we didn't know or understand. We didn't know this language. This language was beat into us, man. We was removed far from our borders. Our whole way of life was changed, man. Our whole customs and culture was taken away from us. And only now we're getting it back, man. Only now we're getting it back because it was taken from us and beaten out of us, man. Read on.
Behold, I will raise them out of the place.
Listen, the Lord's about to step in, man. And the Lord's going to raise us out of that place. The Lord is going to raise us out of these places where they've carried us captives, man. The Lord is going to raise us up out of these places. And these nations better beware, man. Because they've got a lot of stuff to answer for, man. Over 400 years of oppression and slavery they have to answer for, man. All these lynchings and these murders. Every drop of black and Hispanics man's blood they have to answer for, man. They have to answer for every last drop, man. Every last precious blood of a black man and black woman, they have to answer for. Because our blood is precious, even though we kill each other like it's not. But our blood is precious, man, to the Lord. And the Lord hears our cries, man. And this is why the Lord is going to do what? raise us out of them places. Read on.
Where either ye have sold them.
Listen, man, you other nations, all these riches that you have, all this money that you made of slavery, enjoy this money while you can, man. Enjoy it. Buy these nice cars, go on vacations, buy your children nice things and houses. Meanwhile, we poor and we in the ghettos and we're starving and we can barely make ends meet. And you're enjoying the finer things in life, all the luxuries. Enjoy it, man. You know why? Because once the Lord raises us out of these places, you being rich is coming to an end, man. You living free and being rich and wealthy is coming to an end, man. The tables is going to be turning. You're going to be the one who's oppressed. You're going to be the one who can barely make ends meet. You're going to be the one who knows what it's like to go 2-3 days without having a meal. You're going to be the one who knows what it's like to be thinking, my kids are off school and I got no food in the house. You're going to know what it's like to have to get what do we have? Because we don't have food. What did they call it in the UK? Where you get free food. I can't remember what they call it. Child tax credit, man. That's the one. You're going to know what it's like to get child tax credit, man. The reason why you don't need child tax credit is why? Because all that slave money you made, you're living off it, man. You set up businesses with it, and these businesses keep bringing in more money and more money and more money. Meanwhile, the people that work so you could get them business, they're on child tax credits, man. Meanwhile, they're flat on their face and you just walk all over them. You just walk all over them like with garbage. The time's coming when the Lord's going to see enough, and the Lord's going to say, "Okay, it's time to go and get my sons and daughters, man." Read on.
And will return your recompense upon your own head.
Everything that you done to us is going to be turned upon your own head, man. All that oppression is going to be returned upon your own head. Read on.
Verse 8. And I will sell your sons and your daughters.
And we better not hear none of you heathens crying, man. You sold our sons and daughters, and we're going to sell yours, and you're going to say, when can I see my sons and daughters again? And we're going to say the same thing you told us. Just do some more work and I might arrange it for Christmas. That's what they said to us, man. In slavery, they said to the slaves, don't worry, you can see them for Christmas if you do all this work. So what would happen is the slaves would think, okay, then let me do all the work I can do. And if I hear a rumor that any of these slaves want to run away, if I go snitch on them, maybe this man will bring my children back. Guess what? He didn't bring your children back, man. Even though you snitched on the rest of us that wanted to be free. Obviously, some slaves said, you know what, we're going to run for the mountains, man. And the other slaves said, you know what, master, they're going to run. They're going to make a run for it tonight. And they would go and report you, man. That's the kind of things that was going on. And they was put in a position where they didn't want to report you, but obviously with all the brainwashing, all the oppression, they said, you know what, if I report him, maybe I might get some benefits. And that's how Christians think till this day, man. And guess what? You still don't get benefits from this oppressor, man. You think you're going to get benefits, but you still don't. This is what we need to do. Separate ourselves from them, man. When they tell us to pray for Palestine, we say, nah, you know what? There's plenty of black people in the hood that I need to pray for. There's plenty of black people that you've oppressed that I need to pray for. And with that, that brings us to the end of the class. We'll finish it off next week. But that's the end of the class.
With that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I'm Madiam. Men of Israel, I'm Madiam Shabbat. I'm Madiam Barak. Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatha.
Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatha.
Yad Yamata. Class dismissed.